Welcome back to The Rebel's Edge. Today, Pete and I are going to break down exactly what stock Eric Jackson's talking about and why it is zooming just like his Carvana, just like his open door picks. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more on today's Rebel's Edge. Boom.
You know, early on, we did have a number on that thing. I was just saying to John, we need to have a number on there, like episode, 1,000 or whatever. Whatever it is.
Maybe if you talk to your Hollywood pal, Josephson, you can get one of those with a digital timer on it, Pete, because they have those. It's got like a digital clock and it's got a number every time and all that every time you snap it.
He'll do it if we ask. He's a hell of a nice guy. Barry Josephson's his name, and he is an awesome guy who's had an incredible career, and he's still rolling, John. I mean, that guy's on fire.
Yep. Yeah, but he wouldn't want to hear that word, fire.
Yeah, that's true.
His house, just like virtually everybody in Pacific Palisades, gone. Yeah. And he might not say it, but I'll say it. Karen Bass and Newsom are not doing any favors to California.
Right.
Because people are not getting permits. You can think they are, but ask our buddy Grant Cardone or anybody else. There are no permits going out there, folks. Anyway, welcome back to The Rebel's Edge. He's Pete Najarian. I'm Jon Najarian. We're going to talk about macro first because we always like starting with that. And Pete, today I'm going to say, well, we hit record highs again, and today, fourth day in a row, record highs after the federal interest rate cut. And even though Austin Goolsbee in Chicago is playing the ghoul, he likes to play, especially against Trump, he is saying, I don't know if we need to accelerate these cuts as much as some people think. Okay. Okay, so you're not data-driven, are you? If you're just basically playing politics, right, Austin Goolsbee? But anyway, that's my macro minute for today, Pete.
Well, as Austin Goolsbee would say, John, global growth, all right? How about that, Goolsbee? The resiliency of this market, how about that? I mean, when you look at the first half of 2025, John, absolutely incredible. Emerging markets, it shows that the economies are doing a lot better than people would expect. I got one last thing, too, that just struck me because I'm one of these people. Morgan Stanley is finally starting to embrace the possibility of trading crypto type stuff, John, which is something that they have been, kind of holding back. But I think that they finally realized, hey, this could be something that we maybe ought to be part of or whatever. And when I say that, it's through E-Trade. So in other words, a lot of folks, when they bought the E-Trade, that was one of the things that they were trying to work on, John, and it's great, and that's worked pretty well. By the way, that was what we had sold to E-Trade long ago, but now they're finally starting to embrace the world of crypto on there with some of those. I don't know when that kicks off, but they released some of that today.
That is good news because an awful lot of people want to hold the crypto not in a hardware or software wallet. They'd rather put it on a place where there are significant guarantees. But anyway, well, Pete, gold, I'm going to say unusual activity yet again because what? Yesterday it was 3,700. Today, 3,800. It's 3,811 right now, folks. It was 2,600 at the beginning of the year, I think. So we're looking at 1,200 points in this precious metal. That's my fantastic future.
And it's a great one, and that's why I'm going to jump right on it with you, John, because we could look at all these other different areas or whatever, but I think the reality is watching both gold and silver, the Burl Ives trade is right on, dead on, and both of them just get a new high each day. And as you were just pointing out, some of these highs, especially with gold, are absolutely extraordinary to the upside. Both of them are up well over 40% each year to date. And so pretty impressive, I would say, and I'm right there with you. Healthy markets, and you know what? The shift to leadership is the other thing. It's like every day, John, we have a different leader. It could be industrials one day, it could be financials the next, could be technology the next. But that, to me, really does kind of show how healthy the markets are in terms of how much we're seeing. It's not just one area that's absolutely holding us. It's everybody's getting their opportunity to get in there. Utilities, whatever it might be, each and every day. There's different leadership, it seems, on a daily, weekly basis.
Well, let's dive into stocks, Pete.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, folks, I love talking about stocks. I know Pete does, when we have no news on the stock, but the stock is acting, in air quotes, funny or unusual, because Halliburton is up 8% today, Pete. And if you look at this one, it was basically in the low 22s last Friday. Today it's 24.38, up 8%. And the volume started surging last Friday, Pete, because it normally trades about 13 million shares. Traded 25 million on Friday last week. Today, so far, it's traded 16.7 million, and we're halfway through the day. So something is going on in this one, Pete. And I'd say, man, it's playing catch up fast, because it was down early in the year, but it's not down as much anymore.
No, it's starting to come back pretty nice. By the way, energy is what the leading sector is today, and by a few percent. Nice, really big move to that. And to your point, John, an 8% move on Halliburton on a day where we can dig as much as we can dig, and we haven't been able to find something that really explains this to us. So that makes it pretty interesting. It's right in the middle of the 52-week low, call it 18, a 52-week high, which is 33. It's sitting somewhere north of $24. So is there any unusual option activity in the last couple of weeks or whatever? No, we haven't seen that either. So I'm trying to piece it together just like you are. We haven't been able to get very far yet, but this is a name that today, for whatever reason, has been selected. And you were talking about, it's not just a today story. This volume started to pick up, earlier, going back a little bit. So interesting to see. Somebody knows something that we don't yet, and hopefully we're able to find out what it is. And I'd love to see some unusual option activity in there, John, sometime in the next week or whatever. But time will tell, because so far, nothing's out there giving us a tip.
Yeah, and crude oil, West Texas Intermediate, WTI, is moving higher, but this is a rather exceptional move within the energy space right now that Halliburton's moving this much.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk, Pete, about BETR, because BETR is Better Home and Finance Holdings. Well, the fund manager that I talked about at the top of the show, Eric Jackson, he's actually become a bit of a friend of the show. Hey, Eric. And he called the digital home ownership company the Shopify, in air quotes, Shopify of mortgages. So shares were screaming higher by 73% yesterday. And it's not exactly taking a big break from that today, Pete. You're still seeing a pretty damn nice performance. And when you look at, the chart there with that big, huge spike on Friday, and now we're climbing back towards, maybe we don't make it, but towards Friday's highs. I'd encourage all of you to check out what Eric Jackson says, because when he says things, Carvana moves, Open Door moves, BETR moves. I mean, this is pretty amazing stuff, Pete.
It absolutely is, John. I mean, it's blowing me away, the kind of cachet that this guy brings to it, right? I mean, he identifies these stocks that he's looking at, and after doing so, starts to take positions in these stocks. And boy, he has really been right. I'll give you a great example. In this BETR trade, John, he's expecting a 350% move over the next 2 years. So he doesn't think it's over yet, but he's already long some of that. And also that Open Door trade that he had made as well. That has done really, really well. And you and I know more about that one even because we had seen unusual option activity in that name. And we had seen that stock start to move to the upside, just like some of the others. But the catapulting moves that we are seeing that are coming out of this right now, I mean, Monday that stock got up to 59. It's just an amazing thing to watch how well he is doing right now. So kudos to him, man. He is doing something right, John, in that industry. And he's also talking about that industry in the trillions of dollars because of what's going on with AI. Pretty amazing what he's been able to accomplish already and what he's talking about today. I definitely have my eyes looking at that going, all right, where is this thing today? Because I might have to start to participate in this name.
Well, I got another one you should maybe think about participating in, Pete. SAVA, S-A-V-A. It's Cassava Sciences. And I think both of us, we loved it when we saw Jamie Dimon bet on himself and his team, Pete, at JP Morgan. When you see a CEO or anybody in the C-suite putting their money on the line, not just getting rewarded by getting stock options as part of their compensation, but actually jumping in there and shoving the money across the table and saying, I'm in. That's what happened today in Cassava, because the president and CEO, a guy named Richard Berry, bought a ton of shares, Pete. And that usually bodes well for the company, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, that's one thing you do want to see, because you want to see insiders that are willing to still buy, right? I mean, they've already got chunks of stock themselves, but they want to go back and buy more. That tells you that they are believers, or at least signaling to us that they're believers. John, this is a stock that's been as low as $1 and as high as $34. So did it take a hit? Yeah, it's taken a hit. And my guess would be that he would like to see this stock, or at least he thinks at these levels, it's a little bit overdone and would like to be a part of it. I think he bought 237,000 shares or something like that, John, down there in that somewhere in the $2 plus range, we'll call it. But you know what? That's something you want to see. Now, they do have a cash burn. This is a biotech stock that's trying to get themselves with their focuses on the central nervous system disorders and so forth. Can they get there? Can this stock recover? If they can get the right kind of medicines out there, John, that they're working on, sure, these things can work. But it's a gutsy play on his part to go back in there and show everybody, hey, I believe in it at these levels. I think we're going to start moving along. That's a great trigger. Now, this is a stock. I just want to remind you, biotech, number one. Number two, it's gotten beaten up. Could it recover? It absolutely could. I guess the big question is, will it, and how long will it take? But that's going to be all when it comes to when will they be able to get to that phase 3 and and keep on moving, and then hopefully get something commercialized and everything else. Until then, you've got a lot of cash burn as well.
Well, let's talk about an IPO, Pete, because this one IPO'd back in August, and it's called Fly. It's Firefly Aerospace. So it turns out that, space and defense are kind of a hot sector. And this one, it showed that, because it IPO'd, Pete, I think they priced it right around $35. It hit 70 that day or the day after. In other words, the squeeze was on. But now it's been giving back ground, and it's basically down 12%, Pete. Second quarter print of EPS, which is the first since they've been public, not so great. And for that reason, today's 12% drop. What do you think of this one in that particular sector, Pete?
Yeah, they've got a few problems going on, John. I mean, yes, they IPO'd and so forth, but when you really looked at how weak their second quarter was when they reported, they took a massive hit. They lost $80 million. The year before, they lost $58 million. So that's accelerating, obviously, in the wrong direction. Also, when you look at their revenue, it was down 26% year over year. When you look at all these numbers and some of the expectations of the full year, about 133 million to 145 million, there's enough negatives out there that you can understand. I mean, the low has been 41. I know it was priced in the 30s, but the trading started. The low has been 41. The high, like you said, is over 70. I think it was 74. So it's presently trading right around 43. This thing has made that full turn from those highs, John, back down to the lows. That's probably a little bit concerning, and I'm concerned about the cash burn and what it looks like right now. And they're going to have to do a lot of things to get this stock back moving to the upside. It seems like they're in the right spot, obviously, but is it? I mean, this is all about space and defense, and that's great, but they've got to start producing, and the numbers that they've produced so far are not so good.
Well, as far as a video today, I think you guys are going to get a kick out of this one because we always love sharing these videos with you. And this one from just, of course, this crazy game between one of Pete's favorite coaches, Campbell, there he is, Dan Campbell, and Detroit. I mean, give us your opinion, Pete, of what he does here. He's going for it with 4th and 2.
Everything in the world would tell you you never do what he's about to do right now, which is actually snap the ball and go for it under the circumstances. He doesn't care. It's Dan Campbell. He's known to be that guy, John. He's known to be the guy who's going to do things that no other coach in the NFL would even think about doing. And that's what makes him unique. It's why the players love him, to be honest with you. But, you know, it could be a problem. Now, the good news for him is the majority of the time he seems to execute just right. And I think it's because when he does something like this, the defense doesn't see this coming. Matter of fact, Troy Aikman says, you know, this guy's got large onions. You know, we all know what that means. I mean, he's talking about Dan Campbell and the guts that he's got, I'll use that word, to go for it under this situation. He didn't have to. You know what? They still have 3 timeouts, like Troy Aikman was saying. So even if under the right circumstances, they do get a first down, that doesn't mean it's going to burn out the clock. So why did he go for it? Because he's Dan Campbell, and it's a gutsy move, a great move, and I love the move. I got to think John Harbaugh is thinking, what the hell just happened? Because that's in nobody's book, John. No head coach's book say, oh yeah, well you're on your own side of the 50 and you're going to go for it, and you've got a lead. I mean, you know, who does that other than Dan Campbell?
Yeah, you're leading, and you're going to give the other guys good field position if you turn it over, and even if you don't. Turn it over, that is, and you get a first down. Like Pete said, they had all 3 timeouts. Mm-hmm. So they could have, you know, stopped them, forced them to punt, or Dan Campbell goes for it again. In all likelihood, he doesn't make every one of these 4th down conversions, Pete. But that was a gutsy call.
Yeah.
All right. What do you got as far as college football, Pete?
Well, I say we stick with the NFL for just a second.
Okay, let's do the NFL first.
And it rolls right into what we were just watching, because the opposing team with Detroit was the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Baltimore Ravens right now are 1 and 2, John. You and I have probably agreed on the fact that we think they might be the best team in the NFL. Now, here's the one problem that they've got. The Baltimore Ravens, for how many years, going back, you know, with the linebackers and the defensive lines and some of the great safeties and corners and everything, they have always been known as a great defense. Baltimore Ravens have a great defense. Do they always have a great offense? Not really, until, you know, a guy named Lamar showed up, and then suddenly the offense is a pretty damn good offense too. But how about this, John? So far, they've given up 41 points to Buffalo. They gave up 17 points to the Browns and an aging quarterback, and they just gave up 38 points to the Detroit Lions. That defense, by the way, gives up 400 yards a game on average so far these first 3 weeks, 266 yards passing, and 150 yards rushing. So the question I've got is, when does the defense turn into a defense that the Baltimore Ravens and their fans are used to seeing, where they lock it down? You know, they got Ray Lewis back in the day and whomever, but they still have great players, but their defense is not playing the same, John, and that's what I find puzzling. I mean, they're giving up 32 points a game. Do you know where that ranks them? 32nd of 32 teams in the NFL. So the fact that their defense is this bad, by the way, last night they gave up 225 yards rushing. Montgomery had 150 and Gibbs had 67. That is not what Baltimore looks like normally, and it's the start of this year. They haven't been able to stop people, and that's part of the problem. So as good as they are, and I think they're still a really good team, they're going to have to shore up that defense if they want to go anywhere. And you know who they play next week? Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
And I think that's a team that wants to start getting that ball into the end zone too, John, because Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs haven't exactly started off like a team that's, a Super Bowl team. But I'll tell you what, against that defense, unless some tweaks get done, they're going to be able to move the ball up and down the field.
Well, I'll give the Raven fans some hope here, Pete, because a year ago, in the first 11 weeks of the season, they were giving up almost 286 yards, basically passing. And that will not win you games. Now, over the next several weeks, as they headed to the playoffs, which they did rather well in, but didn't get to the Super Bowl, they knocked that down to 170 yards passing. In other words, their defense tightened up pretty significantly. I don't know what's wrong right now, Pete. I mean, Marlon Humphrey, their corner, is older, maybe, or maybe he's had something, not quite right mentally or physically. I'm not sure. But they were taking advantage of the Ravens and that, Amon Ra, or whatever that kid's name is for. It sounds like an Indiana Jones sequel, Amon Ra. But I think they are not as good a defense as they've been. And last year showed the cracks in it. And apparently they didn't fill enough of those cracks in the offseason. So this could still get worse, I guess, Pete, is what I'd say.
Yeah. And you know what? If you do have to have, even in the NFL, you still got to have a defense, or you're not going to, win enough games, because you can only outscore people so much. And it works against you, because if that defense is on the field and they're getting tired because they're out there for a 15-play drive or whatever, eventually that doesn't end well either. So, yeah, I totally agree with you. How about this on the college front? We talked about this a little bit, but how hot is the seats of these guys, John? I'll give you the list of coaches and schools, and you tell me, how about the temperature goes from 0 to 100? All right. So Dabo's at Clemson. I'd say that's starting to get pretty high up there. How about you?
Oh, yeah. And we both love them.
Yep.
And everybody wants to say, well, the new NIL and transfer portal has really impacted him, and he hasn't adjusted to it.
Right.
That's a fair criticism, I guess.
Yeah.
We both thought that perhaps he could still win 10 or 11 games and set himself up for the college football playoffs. Right now, that team does not look like they can do that, Pete.
No.
And I really have no idea why, but it's just not clicking for him right now. So I'd say that's a 95-degree temperature.
Yeah, I'd say the temp is pretty high. I'm with you. And they got that quarterback at the start of the year that everybody said is a Heisman candidate, including me. And it's just not happening right now for Clemson. So there's a couple of them. How about Gundy's at Oklahoma State? You got Billy Napier from Florida. That record's not looking too good right now, John. It's pretty awful. How about Luke Fickell from Wisconsin? Of that group of four, who's the hottest? Is it Wisconsin, Florida, or Oklahoma State right now?
Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that, Pete, even though Gundy's had some decent years there and he's developed a lot of great players, these days it isn't about developing the great players. It's about getting them to, sign letters of intent and then, come. So you lose 69-3 to Oregon. Your alumni are just pissed.
Yeah.
And then you are a double-digit favorite against Tulsa. Now, I've actually seen Tulsa play a fair amount, Pete, because back in the day, I used to root for Tulane a lot when my daughter went there. And Tulsa's had some teams from time to time. But if you're a double-digit favorite against Tulsa and you lose, as they did, I think he's right up there at the 95-degree temperature reading for the hot seat as well.
I totally agree with you. And I don't think they're going to go this early on Fickell. I'll give you a couple of other ones where they're a little bit more of a stretch, but you know what? Their names keep coming up by people because their alumni are not very happy. So you've got Hugh Freeze at Auburn, Lincoln Riley at USC. Now, USC's done fine so far to the start of the year, but as we get deeper, it'll be interesting because so far, he has not done what the fans had wanted him to do either. And then you got Bill Belichick at North Carolina. He's fine. It's not that hot. Well, it's probably hot for anybody else, but it's Bill Belichick, so they probably give him a little time. And then the Arkansas coach, John, his name is Sam Pittman. These are just all schools where they're it's warming up for sure. I don't know how hot it is, but it's definitely warming up. Is there anybody who stands out in that group for you?
Well, yeah. In that group, I'd say Arkansas, Pete.
Yeah.
That coach, he's definitely on the hot seat. And one guy that's probably not in the 90-degree heat yet, but UAB, Trent Dilfer.
Yes.
Because a lot of people really liked this guy coming in there for what he could do, they thought, Pete. But, he's been in his several years there, he's 9-18. Now, that'll get the alumni kind of riled up. And then you lose 56-24 to Tennessee. That'll keep them riled up.
Oh, yeah.
So UAB head coach Trent Dilfer, I'd say, is at least 80 degrees, Pete. And maybe the dean or the president of the university or the GM or the AD, maybe they really like him, but that's that might be his only hope of staying there, is if they like him.
Well, I got two that are already 100% and gone. You got UCLA with Deshaun Foster, and you've got Virginia Tech with Brent Pry. I'll tell you what, John, it's going to start getting a lot thicker, I think, because you mentioned somebody that I didn't even have it on the list. And I'll tell you what, if you look around the country, there's probably a good 8 or 10 other schools where the disappointment's starting to get there, and it's starting to warm up. And it's not that high yet, but it'll get higher as the season goes on. And, it is what it is. It is a big money sport, college football, and you got to win. So I think that there's a lot of seats out there that are going to be changing as we get deeper into this year, and maybe even some more firings in the year, and let the coordinators take over and all the rest of that. So kind of what UCLA and Virginia Tech have done, right? I mean, they fired these guys a couple weeks into the season, and they're already gone. So that heat is hot and gone, and they're going to have to replace them. And by the way, they don't even have a general manager at UCLA, John, which is kind of a unique thing, because why not? You're UCLA, for crying out loud. All USC's got one, Cal's got one, Stanford's got one. I know they're not all in the Pac-12 anymore, but you know what? My point is, most of these schools have a general manager now, and that's the guy who's kind of that go-between between athletic director, chancellor, and the head coach, right? And that's sort of the job. But I'll tell you what, the fact that they don't even have somebody there, why? I mean, you're UCLA. What the hell?
Yeah, well, maybe they will soon, Pete.
Yeah.
All right, folks, thanks for joining us today. We encourage you to check out marketrebellion.com/get started, because you could be trading the same unusual activity that we're trading. And if you'd like to learn more about having a coach or a mentor help you along on this path, we can do that. We also have distance learning, meaning every time you open up your iPad or your PC, you could be watching a tutorial on various option strategies and really get it down solid before you invest any money. So we've got education, subscriptions, we've got it all at Market Rebellion. You can just scan the QR code. And what time are we back tomorrow, Pete?
We got it at 1 p.m. Eastern time, John. We'll be ready to rip it and go.
LFG.